Brown from the Rotterdam Police Department. Sorry. I leaned on the podium, I think.
Okay, can I just have 1 second to change up the mic? I'm so sorry, guys. I have no idea how this works though.
Yeah, just like.
Yeah, like that? I'm so sorry. This is awful.
It's okay, it's my fault.
Sorry. How dare you? Like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you just come over here and do it for me? So you'll be faster. Sorry.
It's not a great podium for attaching mics, I realize. It's old.
Sorry.
It's better than some.
I remember to laugh too.
Maybe that'll work.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Ready? And this is Detective Michelle Crandall from the Rotterdam Police Department. People that worked on this case in my office, Will Lemon was the lead prosecutor. He is on a well-deserved vacation, but I see Justin Colarossi in the back row. Justin's our financial crime analyst. I don't know if it's Tony Brown here, investigator side of this case. But anyway, I thank you for all your work in this case. So I'd like to start by just reading a statement, and then we'll open up to questions for either me or for the chief. On July 31st, 2023, the Rotterdam police were called to 1726 Greenpoint Avenue in the town of Rotterdam to check on the welfare of Skylar Petit, date of birth 1/10/99, a 24-year-old woman who had not been seen or heard from in some time. Living at that residence with Skylar were her mother, Amber Geyer, and her boyfriend, Ricky Loika. At first, both of these people assured police that Skylar was fine. When the police asked to see her in person, they admitted that she was deceased for some time and that her body was upstairs, wrapped in plastic and blankets in her bed. Skylar Petit had Down syndrome and had been an insulin-dependent diabetic since 2014 and was wholly dependent upon her mother for her care. Amber Geyer told police that one morning in April, she went into Skylar's room and found that she had died during the night. She claimed that she couldn't bear to leave her side, so kept her corpse in her bedroom rather than call authorities. Although both Ms. Geyer and Mr. Loika could have been arrested that day for concealment of a corpse, both the Rotterdam Police Department and the Schenectady County District Attorney's Office agreed to commence an investigation into the circumstances of Skylar Petit's death to determine if other criminal charges were appropriate. The lead investigator for the Rotterdam Police was Investigator Michelle Crandall, and Assistant District Attorney William Lemon conducted the investigation along with me from my office. The investigation was complicated by the fact that the information available to the medical examiner from Skylar's remains to determine her cause of death was compromised by the passage of time and decomposition. It took some time to conclude this investigation because of the need to fully examine Skylar's medical history involving her general practitioner, her pediatric endocrinologist, her adult endocrinologist, her cardiologist, her dermatologist, and a thorough examination of her pharmaceutical history. It also became a financial crimes investigation, relying in part on records from the Social Security Administration. And as an aside, Will Lemon, who heads up this investigation, is actually my financial crimes bureau chief. That investigation has now culminated with a presentation to a grand jury in Schenectady County, in which we called 18 witnesses and put in 35 exhibits over 3 days of testimony. The grand jury has returned a sealed indictment containing 9 counts against Amber Geyer and 6 counts against Ricky Loika. I would remind you that an indictment is just an accusation. Both of these defendants are entitled to the presumption of innocence and all of their other constitutional rights, including a right to trial in which their guilt would have to be proven to 12 unanimous jurors beyond a reasonable doubt. Amber Geyer is accused of 2 counts of homicide manslaughter in the second degree, a Class C felony for recklessly causing the death of Skylar Petit, and alternatively, causing her death by criminal negligence, which is a Class E felony. The theory of the prosecution is that Amber Geyer stopped taking appropriate care of Skylar by the summer of 2022, ceasing treatment by any of her physicians at all, and last filling an insulin prescription for Skylar in February of 2022. Skylar's condition had deteriorated by February of 2023 due to inadequate insulin, to such a point that she was bedridden and wasting away. Her body was unable to process carbohydrates and instead was breaking down whatever muscle and fat tissue she had left. In addition, she had a severe untreated skin condition that made her susceptible to infection. These conditions caused her death due to a cardiac arrhythmia with a possible pneumonia, all resulting from inadequate care of her diabetes by her mother, who is also an LPN. Amber Geyer is accused in a third count of endangering the welfare of an incompetent or physically disabled person in the first degree, a Class E felony. Both defendants are charged with the crime of concealment of a human corpse, a Class E felony. Ricky Loika is charged with the crime of hindering prosecution in the second degree, a Class E felony, by rendering criminal assistance to Amber Geyer in order to conceal her commission of a Class C felony, the crime of manslaughter in the second degree. Amber Geyer is charged with the crime of grand larceny in the third degree, a Class D felony, for stealing Skylar Petit's SSI benefits from the time of her death, which we believe to have occurred in February of 2023, until her body was discovered by authorities in July of 2023, and those benefits were terminated. Ms. Geyer was the responsible payee on Skylar's SSI account, and in this charge is accused of converting more than $3,000 to her own use after Skylar's death. We believe the total was somewhere around $5,000. Finally, both defendants are accused of 4 counts of misdemeanor animal cruelty charges for harboring 4 Mastiff puppies, which they had bred for sale, in filthy and inhumane conditions, leaving the dogs in such a condition that they were unable to walk on a leash. I can talk about these charges, these indictments, because even though the indictment was sealed, it was opened this morning. Judge Mark Caruso arraigned both defendants. Ricky Loika is represented by the public defender. Assistant Public Defender Michelle Walton appeared today. His charges are non-bail eligible, so he was released. He was released on conditions that he report to the probation department and obey whatever conditions they impose. He was also ordered not to have any companion animal. Amber Geyer was also arraigned by Judge Caruso. She was represented by conflict defender Tracy Chance. In her case, it is bail eligible. This death was caused. She's accused of causing death of Skylar. And Judge Caruso set bail at $150,000 cash, $300,000 bond, $1.5 million in partially secured bond. And so she was remanded to the Skagit County Correctional Facility. So that's an overview, folks, and I'd be happy to take questions. And as I said, Chief Brown would take some as well.
Last year, I believe the medical examiner determined that Skylar's cause of death was natural causes. Has that changed given what you read in your statement today?
It's changed in the sense that his diagnosis of the actual cause of death stands the same. He believed it was a cardiac arrhythmia at that time. He still does. However, the investigation revealed much about the care that she was undergone, and certainly his opinion about what led to that mirrors what we're saying here today.
I don't know if I've heard an answer to the question why. Why would a mother let her child go through such agony?
That's a very hard question to answer. It seems that at some point she just gave up. Now, this office has had to deal with horrendous cases recently involving the death of children. And, you know, the last 3, you know, the Persia Nelson case, the dropping her baby into a pit, this case just this last weekend with Mr. Buskey accused of leaving his 5-year-old girl to die of dehydration. in this case, which was playing out in our office as those other cases were, you didn't know this because it happened 23, but 9 months later, we were in the grand jury, hearing another case about a mother who just gave up on her child. You know, I don't know what I can say about why that happened. I can tell you, for instance, prescriptions for insulin were free. So why did she stop filling them? I can't answer that question.
And it's my understanding there's another child, or there was another child in that household?
Yes, there was a 16-year-old child.
Can you talk about that child's condition?
Well, that child was mostly not even living at home. She was living at a friend's house, and she seems to be fine.
One of the questions that Justin Bregus, who's the cousin of the victim, has been asking is, why did the investigation take so long? And my understanding is it's because of the multiple medical examinations.
It was both a death investigation and a financial crimes investigation, which became an animal cruelty investigation. All of those things take time. You know, this was an investigation that was built by numerous subpoenas, and those things take time. And when you learn one thing, that then triggers the need to find out different things. So it's not like it, you know, it's an entirely different situation from the other two cases I just talked about, which, you know, happened in a discrete period of time. And of course, in these cases, we've had the body from the beginning. In this case, the body was concealed from us. So much of the evidence that might have been obtained from those human remains were denied to us.
Have Amber and Ricky been arraigned, and are these charges bail eligible?
Yeah, I just went through that. Yes, they were both arraigned by Judge Caruso this morning at 11 o'clock, 11:30. Ricky Loika's charges are not bail eligible. He was released. Amber Geyer's are, and she was remanded on $150,000 cash bail.
Why not charge the two with concealment of a corpse first, and then why was that decision made of not having that and then having the other charges maybe follow?
You know, that's one way that it could have gone, but we have to be careful about charging some of the crimes in an incident and not others. There's something called charge splitting, where there could be an argument that jeopardy has attached. You know, if you do a partial prosecution, then go back, and that case was resolved in the interim. So, and we just thought that there were questions that needed to be answered, and over time we could get those answers, and we believe we have.
Are there mugshots that are going to be available?
I don't have them at this time, but we could talk afterwards.
Can you talk about what led police investigators to discover Skylar's body? Was it a family member that called us in?
You want to take that, Chief?
Sure.
Jump your head there.
What led to us responding to the residents that day was a member of the Mahonison School District who had dealt with Skylar in the past, recognized that she had not been heard from for several months, so just contacted us to check her welfare. And that's what led us to the residents that day.
Was she in a school program?
I believe so. Do you know off the top of your head if
She had since graduated from Mahonison, but she was attempting to be placed into an alternate program just not at the time she was on.
Have police had any contact with the two defendants accused of these crimes prior to this incident?
Not that I'm aware of. Criminal, you mean?
Yeah, criminal or
not that I'm aware of.
complaints in the neighborhood.
Not that I'm aware of.
It's hard to imagine that they maybe didn't see this coming today, or that these arrests were coming, right? I mean, do you think that they thought they were in the clear, or what?
I don't know what their thoughts were exactly, but I can say that didn't seem surprised when we showed up yesterday to pick them up and arrest them. And I'll just say, and I know District Attorney Carney touched on this, is when we responded to the residents that day, there was certainly more questions than answers. We knew that like he had mentioned, we knew that we could charge the concealment of a corpse, but we felt that it was necessary to broaden this out into a larger investigation, and that's why it took the length of time that it did.
What's the next thing to happen in this case?
We have to fulfill our discovery obligations in the case. We have 30 days to do that. And then and Judge Caruso, I'll bring them both back on, I think, May 21st. He ordered for a report on that. And from that point on, then we finish the discovery phase and the defendants make their motions and we go on from there.
Can you explain, you mentioned the mother was Skylar's caretaker, was in charge of administrating her medication. Can you trade, why not a steeper charge, like a murder charge instead of a manslaughter charge?
We certainly considered that. We researched it. We pulled all the cases. We were pretty familiar with those charges now at this time. And the distinguishing factor which led us to believe that charge would not be appropriate, a depraved murder charge, is that charge requires a proof of a mental state of utter indifference to the welfare of the person. The proof here showed that she continued to take care of her to some degree, not enough to keep her alive, but it didn't show utter indifference. And so we felt that theory of the crime would have been a stretch in this proof. And it's basically analyzing the facts and applying the law appropriately. That's the decision. That's the way we make decisions. So that was our thinking in this case.
Was Skylar verbal?
Yes.
Is there any reason to believe, any evidence that she had a discussion with her mom and she may have said, "Mom, I'm tired of this"?
There's no evidence of anything like that.
Since Skylar did need a caretaker, were there other agencies that were obligated to check up on her or look after her that were also investigating?
There was an agency that was involved in overseeing her care, and they were unaware of exactly what was going on. This plays out under the fact that a lot of these agencies that are required to monitor and it became very difficult after the pandemic and during the pandemic in terms of making home visits and doing that. So a lot of them went to more remote ways of contacting, and that made it a little harder to know what was going on in that household. And Amber Geyer was not exactly welcoming everybody in to see what was going on. I did want to make the point that these cases involving people doing horrendous things to their children, there are services available. And if people are overwhelmed by child care responsibilities, or in this case, care of a dependent person, she could have gone to Adult Protective Service and said, "I just can't take care of her anymore." And something would have happened to get her a placement. And the same with the children that have been abandoned and cruelly, murdered. Just get help. If you reach the point where you can't take care, you can't do it anymore, don't let them die. So, anything else?
While we have you, any comments on the Busky case ahead of tomorrow?
No, that's at the stage where we're still pre-grand jury and investigating it. There's an agreed upon adjournment of the case tomorrow. Nothing's gonna happen tomorrow in court, but we'll have more to say about it once we have dealt with it in more detail.
And you mentioned Amber and Ricky, I believe you said they were boyfriends?
Girlfriend, boyfriend, yeah.
Do we know where Skylar's father is in all of this? And is he...
We've certainly talked to him. He had a relationship with Skylar, which became diminished over the years, but there was a time when he was very much in her life, and but she was always in Amber's care. He would visit regularly, but that tapered off.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.